Then this article's titled, "Could we be living in a holographic universe?" A cosmologist says. We were talking about this yesterday. Because I look up at the sky and I say, I don't know what it is. It could be a fucking hologram, a projection. Well, it sounds like hashtag science is catching on. Because they're asking the question, could this whole universe be a hologram? Let's continue. This holographic concept could explain a mystery about black holes, but the math may not represent reality. So right away, this gives me an indication of what the agenda is with this article. Because they realize once they present this heliocentric model, or this model of based off of Einstein's theory of general relativity and the bending and warping of space-time, and this idea of the mechanics of the cosmos, they realize the math doesn't make sense. So they tried to tell us that, well, 95% of matter is actually dark matter and dark energy. So although the math doesn't make sense, we're just going to fill in the gaps with something that can't be proven. Well, it seems like now they're taking it even further. They're going to say, basically, that because their math is so far off, that maybe the universe is just holographic. And then you could just throw all the math out the window. Either way, let's begin the article. As theoretical physics delves deeper into the fundamental nature of reality, we're left to grapple with the questions it leaves for us. For example, some physicists claim that our universe is merely an illusion, a product of quantum machinations happening in a lower dimensional setting. In other words, a hologram, which is interesting because they're going to define what a hologram is based off their science, talking about quantum mechanics, which again is unproven. Let's continue. But do these theoretical insights offer revelations into reality itself, or merely serve as mathematical tools to help solve thorny problems? When it comes to the most cutting-edge physical theories, what is a product of our imaginations and what is a product of the universe? Right. Because if you talk about things like theoretical physics, one should beg the question, what is theory and what is actual physics? And even more so, how could you have a theoretical physics? Aren't those two concepts antithetical to each other? Isn't it oxymoronic to say theoretical physics? What does theory have to do with physics? What does physics have to do with theory? Physics is about science, which is about evidence, which is about research and tests. Can you do scientific experimentation? Which doesn't involve theory. It involves forming a hypothesis and then basically trying to disprove the null hypothesis. But I don't want to get too deep in the weeds with you guys. I just want to beg the question, how is there something called theoretical physics? I don't know. I'm the kind of guy who asks those things. Weird. Anyway, let's continue. Black holes may be evidence. The trouble began with those bothersome boogeymen of the cosmos, black holes. On the surface, and careful readers will be rewarded later with the realization of this pun, black holes are simple. Stuff falls in and never gets out. All the information about that stuff gets locked away behind the event horizon, never to be seen again. But in the 1970s, famed astrophysicist Stephen Hawking, oh geez, realized that black holes aren't entirely black. Oh, okay. So are they black holes or not? Oh, they're kind of black holes. Let's continue. They're a little gray and a little leaky, emitting a tiny amount of radiation which causes black holes to evaporate slowly, but inevitably, from existence altogether. So again, once they realize that they present certain models, and then those models no longer hold up to, demonstrable reality, they always have to backtrack. So it's a black hole, nothing escapes it. Well, except a little bit of, gray light, and it leaks some radiation. Always moving the goalposts. Let's continue. However, that radiation carries no information with it, which brings up a nasty paradox. Information goes in, but doesn't come out. And then the black hole goes away. So what happened to all that information? Again, more nonsense meant to confuse you. Because the whole time, you're just assuming the model that they're presenting. It's the same trick I present over and over to you guys again. They give you an interesting story where they present you paradoxical information, but they always give you the set and setting of the model that they're giving you. So you're just slowly being indoctrinated into the model, not realizing they're just forming a belief set within your consciousness that doesn't hold up to any demonstrable reality whatsoever. Let's continue. A major clue came in the decades that followed Hawking's extraordinary discovery. One way to measure the amount of information is through entropy, a thermodynamic concept that is loosely related to the amount of disorder in a system. Black holes have a surprising property. Their entropy is proportional to the surface area, not their volume. In other words, the amount of information in a black hole is related to its two-dimensional surface, not its three-dimensional volume. Again, all assuming what the volume is, because how could you assume 3 dimensions when you're only seeing something from one side? So if I'm only viewing the black hole from the perspective of Earth, how could I assume three-dimensionality to it? And that's probably what they're going to try to say here about the holographic universe. They're basically saying that their numbers are showing that black holes behave based off their area, not their volume, which implies 2 dimensions. And they're going to then, I haven't even read this article yet, but I know what they're leading to. They're going to use that to back their way into the theory of a hologram. Again, more confusion, because they know the math doesn't make sense. The math based off, again, Einstein's theory of relativity and the theory of matter. The numbers don't match up, guys. You get it? The purported gravitational pull, the gravitational quality of these supposed bodies in space, whether it's a black hole or otherwise, don't match the math. So they have to add components like 3-dimensionality and dark matter, which doesn't exist. Let's continue. This is pretty much unlike every other object in the entire universe, and so naturally a lot of physicists all of a sudden became very interested in black holes, with top-tier physicists like Leonard Susskind leading the charge into this new land of the holographic principle. So basically, they're to the point now where their math is so far off from their originally proposed model that they've presented as the accepted reality, that they now have to just throw the whole thing out and say, well, maybe it's just holographic. So if it's holographic, then why do we even need the theories of gravity? What does the bending and warping of space-time, which implies particles bending and warping and being pulled towards things, other particles namely, why do you need that if it's just all holographic anyway? You see the desperation, the insanity in their models? But Mateo could just come here and say, oh, Billy Carson's really smart, and he says it's a sphere, and just disregard all this nonsense. Let's continue. The name comes from holography or holography itself. Ever seen a hologram in real life? And it looks like an image leaps out at you. That's because a hologram encodes all the 3-dimensional information in a 2-dimensional surface. Right. And then you could explain away why there's no parallax in the stars, etc., etc. What a clown world. So there appears to be something funny about black holes, wherein their information seems to be encoded on their 2-dimensional surfaces. Perhaps the same is true for the whole universe. So now they're preparing us for their next foray, their next mindfuck. The holographic universe. Sneaky and slippery. disingenuous, insincere, and everybody's supposed to buy into it. Clowns. Let's continue. A two-dimensional universe? Question mark. This idea isn't as crazy as it first appears because we might actually have a working example of a holographic principle in action. It's known by the rather awkward name of ADS/CFT correspondence, and it was developed in 1997 by some other physicist. To understand, let's construct a special kind of universe with some strange properties. 1, this universe has 5 spatial dimensions. 2, it's completely empty of matter and radiation. 3, contains a persistent cosmological force that bends inwards. The kind of space-time is called a 5-dimensional anti-terror sitter space. Do you guys understand? Again, they're just going to present you another model without any evidence. They're going to throw away all that they've been saying about relativity because it's time. We're on to you. Just like when they figured out that Newton's definition of gravity, mass attracting mass, once that was past its time and people realized it was completely devoid of evidence, they had to move on to relativity. Well, now they're at a time where they realize it's time to move forward. So now they're going to prep you for this new construct of a holographic principle. And they're going to tell you that it has 5 spatial dimensions and it's completely empty of matter and radiation. They're basically going to say that they could just make it whatever they want. Define reality for you. Again, devoid of evidence. Now let's say you're trying to solve a very complicated problem within that universe, like how quantum gravity works. See? Quantum gravity. We've been trying to solve quantum gravity for almost a century now. And while we don't have any answers yet, we do have a set of tools that we hope someday will lead us to one. That set of tools is known as string theory. Again, they have to admit that there's no proof for this quantum gravity. They have to come out and tell you now. It's unbelievable. But they're still going to back end you into their model with string theory. Unbelievable. Is this the origin of space-time? And here's where things go really wild. Some physicists have developed and extended this idea away from a mere tool for solving the headache-inducing gravity problems to explaining gravity itself. They claim they've discovered correspondences where the quantum nature of all fields living at the boundary of the space-time cause general relativity to appear within. Wow. Let me just break this down for you guys, and then we're going to end this article. Instead of realizing their theory has no proof, and therefore disregarding the theory, they're just doubling down on their unsupported claim with more nonsense to confuse you more. Again, going against all principles of logic, critical thought, and reasoning. They keep presenting this as science. They're teaching this to children as if it's reality, and you all just accept it. So keep sending your kids to the public school indoctrination camps. Keep wasting your money on college and the supposed education that you get there. Keep wasting your life force working for these satanic and demonic corporations that are devoid of any soul and devoid of any spirit. And keep flushing your fucking soul down the toilet as you sell yourself out to this world. Not me, folks. I'm done with it. I'm not doing it anymore. I'd rather, like our friend John Lennon said, just sit back and watch the wheels go round and round. You know? How's the lyrics go? People say I'm crazy, wasting my life away. They give me all kinds of warnings, but I tell them that I'm okay. You know, because I'm just sitting here watching the wheels go round and round. I'll let you guys spin on the merry-go-round of insanity. And I'll just eat the popcorn. Kettle corn is the type of popcorn I like. Like when you go to these old-timey, like, antique fairs, maybe even the Renaissance fairs, you got the kettle corn guy. Ah, that smell, the whole experience. So I'll eat my kettle corn. Sweet and salty is the way to go. And I'll just watch the wheels go round and around. And I'll watch you idiots try to fucking grab the little ring. And you think you're gonna win something. You're just gonna win a life of fucking servitude and slavery. Congratulations, everybody. Welcome to modern day slavery, where we've enslaved your mind. The best prisons are the ones where they don't need to build walls. They just fucking put you in a mental prison. And then you become your own warden, your own jailman.